What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. It is almost like primetime hour here at the Hot Chick in Old Town Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm here with Sam Davis, fitness expert, business expert, former U of A softball player, I just learned.
Yes.
That's probably the most impressive thing to me. I grew up a huge baseball person, host of the Tequila Talks podcast. Do you like podcasting? I've just rambled on about how this is like my life at this point, but...
I do. I love it. I love meeting people. It's kind of like you. I like meeting the people. I like networking. I like being able to recommend people to other people. I mean, why else would you do it?
It's honestly the best part about it. It's better than, to me, I feel like I bash on people that sit at a desk all day. I don't, because I've been there. I've done it, right? But like, I guess I always had a passion to do something more.
I couldn't imagine working a corporate job. I mean, I give them props, but the desk life is... It's not for us.
No, it isn't. And it's difficult to get out of, if you're not making any money to start, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like with podcasting, you're probably figuring out tough to monetize. It was tough to monetize for me starting out. But I feel like you have a ton of cool experiences to where you can invite people on and have cool stories.
I think that's how I finally got it started, was because I felt like I was experienced enough. Especially as like a business coach and consultant, I'm always like, you're never ready. You're never actually ready to take that leap. And I didn't feel like I was ready, but I also was like, all right, I've done this for 10 years. I have enough experiences in my back pocket. I have enough to talk about and enough connections, things like that. So, and social media makes it really, really easy to connect with people. It
does. It's like a double-edged sword where you can connect with anybody you want without having their phone number, but anybody can contact you too and really like spam you and really...
It's terrifying.
It is, right? So why Tequila Talks? What was the inspiration behind that theme?
So I'm a big tequila drinker. That's my liquor of choice. I don't really drink anything else. Maybe an old-fashioned. I like whiskey, but tequila is really my first choice. And part of my coaching and consulting has always been, I want it to be organic, no BS, unfiltered. I don't like when people sugarcoat for me, so that's how I coach. I don't sugarcoat. And when you drink tequila, it kind of removes that filter and it removes that extra layer of protection or that governor that we have when we speak to people. And so I really wanted something to be really natural, really organic, and that's where the name came from. It's kind of like on some of my podcasts, we're actually drinking tequila in the podcast. So that's where
you didn't want any tequila here? Drinks are free.
I should have.
You should have. I had one with Eric before. I'm like, okay, I don't know what he's talking about right now. I'm a little wired now, but
yeah.
No, I mean, that's such a cool topic because you are right. Like when people start feeling a little bit more relaxed, they kind of unbutton a little bit and you get to hear stories they probably didn't like necessarily think about not sharing, but they didn't come to their mind because now they're just relaxed, they're having a good time.
Exactly.
Which is so much fun. Talk to me about U of A softball. That's very intriguing to me.
What do you want to know?
What position did you play?
I played third base. Played third
base.
The
hot corner. Hot corner in softball too. That's a tough position to play.
I liked it because I didn't have to think. If I don't have to think, we're in a good place.
Yeah,
so
it's tough.
It's just reaction. It was my dream to play there since I was a kid, like very, very little. I was going to the summer camps and everything.
It's that type of night, huh?
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna hear that too. People having a good time.
And it's Thursday.
That's right. It's the beginning of Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyways, had always been my dream to play there. I worked really hard to get there. I played for a year and then had too many concussions. So NCAA said,
that's tough.
Nada.
How'd you get concussions?
I was a really overly aggressive player. So it's one of the reasons why U of A recruited me in the first place. I was quick, I was scrappy, and I'm big. So a lot of scrappy players, I say big, but like in a very politically correct way, I guess. At 5'10", 160 pounds, I'm coming in pretty hot, and my goal was to take you out. Like if I was diving in and stealing second, I was going to try to figure out a way to get you on the ground without the umpires calling me on it. So U of A really liked that, and I was a left-handed slapper as well, and so they recruited me for that, but I used my head in all of those moments. So I got a couple concussions that way, and then my last concussion was at third base. I took a really bad hit to the plate, or to the base.
Yeah.
And it took out a back molar, my back of my jaw, and that was it for me.
And what year was that?
It would have been 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, a while ago.
Wow. Do you, like, Looking back at it, when you stop playing and you kind of have to like enter the career workforce, was it difficult?
So I started personal training, and then my parents were like, you know what, you'd be a really great nurse. You should go into nursing school. God bless nurses. I don't know how they do it. I went in 4 months before I was supposed to graduate. I actually lost my best friend. She passed away, and it completely changed my life in the direction of my life for the better. So after that, I left nursing school. I said, life is too short. I need to find what my purpose is, what my passion is. And after that, I started personal training, going to my clients' homes and training them there. And then I couldn't travel. I wasn't making enough money. I was living at my parents' house. My dad was like, have fun scraping from the bottom of the barrel. And that just wasn't good enough for me. So we expanded quite a bit from there.
So then you always had a passion for fitness then?
Yes, yeah,
like.
Always.
Which
I've always been super active.
You really have to get into it to really love it, because it's grit, it's conditioning. Like you really have to, like for you, was it more so the passion of like actually doing the workouts and the conditioning of things? Because obviously as a player, you have like a set thing that you probably have to do with your teammates.
Yes.
Versus things that you want to do for your own physical image, you could say.
Right.
I guess body image, you could say. Was that always a big thing?
Totally. I've gone through phases. So at first it was, fuck lifting. Oh, can I cuss on this podcast?
Anything you want.
Okay.
Anything you want.
I was like, fuck lifting. I'm not doing this. I took a year off of lifting. I only ran. I became a cardio bunny. And then you go through different phases. Then I wanted the competition back. Then I started competing with myself in the gym, and I built up a lot of weight, a lot of strength. It was the most unhealthy I'd ever been, and I was the heaviest, but not fat-wise. I had so much muscle on my frame, my body couldn't take it. So then from there, I had to take a step out of the gym again, and then I was gone out of the gym for about 9 months, and now I'm back at a point where it's just healthy, and it more comes from a place of self-worth. Mm-hmm. I think when you commit to your craft and you hone in the gym, it's more of a commitment to loving yourself, make the right decisions, to be healthy for the rest of your life. And so now, especially with my own health coaching business, we do a lot of database protocol. So we do gut tests, hormone tests to figure out where you're at, and then we protocol and build your nutrition and workouts accordingly. That's what we're all about now, is like building your self-worth and making sure that we're building a healthy foundation and moving you in the direction of health for the rest of your life versus just physiques or good looks.
That's right. I mean, that's the difficult part. You see people in magazines or in movies, and it's like, I can look like that. Why don't I look like that, right?
Right.
But at the same time, it's like kind of like that double-edged sword where like you have people who want the results quick, and they use supplements that make it very dangerous. But then there's the other aspect of like enjoying the journey part of it, where it's like you don't actually enjoy the fitness, you're just enjoying the end result. Where like
right.
if you fell in love with the process, eventually you're gonna get there, and like you're gonna stay there because you love the actual process of it.
Right, and the feeling it gives you and the confidence it gives you. And a lot of people a lot of times roll into it wanting to look a certain way, and then they realize it's the only thing that they can control about their life is their health and wellness. So a lot of people, like you hear a lot with like revenge body, right? Like people, they dive into this because they're like, well, I want to look a certain way, but then they realize that the mindset behind it is actually all about self-worth and what you can control. So when you move into that space, you start to look at these habits a little differently. Like the habits start to change where it's like, you're doing it because it feels good, you're sleeping better, your skin's better, you are more confident having relationships with people. It just morphs into this completely different dynamic than just your physical looks.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for people to understand like the daily repetition it takes to do that. Like whether it's like drinking a gallon of water a day. People say the more water you drink, the better your skin's gonna look if you do that consistently, right?
Yes.
Or like if you're doing certain workout routines, eventually your body gets tired to the same routine, and you gotta mix it up to kind of increase that muscle tissue, right?
Yeah, it's more so just challenging your muscles. There's a lot of misconceptions in the industry about like mixing up your routine. You're actually better off either expanding your reps or your weight. So you could do like, let's take hip thrusting for instance. You actually just want to expand, well, it depends on your goals. Like if you're trying to put on muscle mass, you really want to work towards hypertrophy. You can pronounce that however you want it. People have different ways of pronouncing that word. But hypertrophy essentially is just anything past like 6 to 8 reps and you're working towards contracting as many muscle fibers as you can. So then you're building muscle that way. So you really don't need to switch it up. You just need to add weight. So if you're hitting 8 to 12 reps, and then 2 weeks later you're like, fuck, this is really easy. I can go 15, 20. Like, you got to add on weight to make it back, like take it back down to that 8 to 12 reps. So you're constantly progressing that way, but you don't necessarily need to mix it up in the sense of I need to be doing a different routine. It's just reps and sets, and maybe your rest time. That's really going to get you the most progress.
Rest time is the thing that's my number one thing, where it's like I'll rest for like 30 seconds to 60 seconds in between reps, whatever I'm doing, and it's difficult, but it's like, all right, I'm building that tissue, I'm building that full repetition. And then there's other times where I'm taking like 3-minute rests in between, and I'm like, I still feel good, but like then I'll go work out with actual athletes. I'm like, oh, I'm not in shape at all.
Right, it's different. When you work out with athletes, it's totally different.
This time of year, Memorial Day, the Murph Challenge is a big thing. Yes. Have you done it?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I see it all over Instagram.
I've been doing it every Friday for the last 6 weeks. I've puked 4 out of the 6 times because all of my friends were like college soccer athletes, college football athletes, and they're all wearing the 40-pound vest. So for people that don't know, the Murph Challenge is you wear a 40-pound vest, you run a mile with the vest, then you do 300 squats, 200 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, and then when you're done with all of that, run another mile with the vest on.
Good for you.
It's awful. I am a journalist. I have no athletic ability. I always played sports. I've always loved sports. I was never athletic though, which is why I got into the media side of things. But I'm thinking like, yeah, I'll do that with you guys on Fridays. And every single Friday I regret it because I don't know where I am 10 minutes into the workout.
No, that's insane. That's a whole other level of conditioning that you need.
And they want, I think he did it in like 35 minutes, which is like the goal to do it,
that's
35
insane.
minutes.
So are you gonna time yourself on Monday?
I've been doing it in like 45. I think the best I did was 45 minutes.
That's great.
And I'm traveling to Austin this weekend with a few buddies that are in the military right now in like San Antonio, and they're like, we're doing it Monday morning. I'm like, great. What a vacation.
Perfect.
Right? But what was the most difficult type of like workout routine that you did that not only you did, but like your clientele did that you thought was like very challenging?
For me and my clients? I think it depends. Everything's so tailored to my clients. It's all different. But I actually work with a lot of marathon runners. I have a lot of marathon runners that come in. I am not a marathon runner. I'm a sprinter.
That's a different type of discipline.
That is different. And some bodies genuinely aren't built for it. Like mentally, yes, you can do marathon running, but there's slow twitch, fast twitch muscles. And anyways, we don't need to be nerdy and dive into that. But I think at U of A was probably the hardest I've ever worked. We used to do this, what was called a ladder, and we'd run out on the football field, and you do 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards. You go all the way to the end, and then you do it backwards, 100 yards, 90 yards, 80 yards. And every time you had a certain amount of rest. So by the time you get to 10 yards, you only have about 3 seconds to turn around and go the other direction. So if you were past your reps time, so if the rest time had run out, you had to do it all over again. And I would say that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, that or doing the same version of that but with sleds. I puke every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Is there a part of you as like someone who just loves fitness that looks forward to that though, because you know it's pushing you? Like to me, like tomorrow morning, I know I'm probably gonna puke during this Murph challenge again, but it's like, it's the expectation. I'm gonna show up and do it anyway.
Well, I think yes, I love the challenge. Mentally, I love it. I'm doing something that's constantly bettering myself, and I think that's more the mindset that I have. I don't really look forward to puking.
No,
yeah,
nobody does.
Yeah.
Because you're like in a completely different mindset. You're like, I'm dying right now.
Right.
It's like I never want to work out with these fools ever again. But
different.
then when you do it, you're like, oh, I'm good. I can finish.
Yeah. And then you have the endorphins going, and afterwards you're like, I did something. I accomplished something. That's the feel-good part. But during, I don't know if I look forward to torturing myself to that extent.
Did you have like a specific like image that you wanted to portray like in fitness? You talk about body image, right?
Yes. So I had this whole epiphany when I first got into the fitness industry. I saw a fitness influencer, and I saw her at Olympia. I was contracted with a supplement company. I was there as an athlete, and I saw her at Olympia, and I realized how edited her photos were, and she was so little. so tiny. I'm 5'10". She was like maybe 5'1". So her body works completely different mechanically. Like it works completely different than mine. And I realized at that moment, also with the editing aspect of things, that I didn't want to look up to influencers anymore. I wanted to be that influencer that was unedited, super real. I talked a lot about my like hormone issues and weight gain and my skin issues on my Instagram. And as a girl, it's tough to find a safe place in this industry that's not edited. A lot of women now take SARMs or steroids, and so they get really lean really quickly, but it's not sustainable long term. It's really unhealthy. And so I really wanted to be a safe space, but like a no BS safe space. So I'm not gonna bullshit you. You don't need a bajillion different supplements. And if you're gonna take supplements, I want it to be a probiotic, prebiotic, fiber, something that's gonna actually help your gut, but this stuff helps you long term. That's the difference. So these influencers are pushing short-term results to get people in, and then my business actually takes in all those people that have already done all the bullshit in the industry, and they're like, I've tried this, and this, I've taken this, I've had injections, whatever it is, and it didn't work. And so I work with a lot of women who have worked with other influencers or other programs, and they've actually damaged their body, damaged their metabolism, their hormones, and we get them back on track through testing and things like that. So that's really the space that I wanted to provide for women. I only work with women, but in the industry.
I feel like especially in fitness, like you being like the last resort business is the best type of business to have. Where it's like they've already gone through every hell, fire, trial and tribulation that they've already been through, right?
I love it.
Where it's like you finally get to be like, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's how we adjust that.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes, a lot of times their metabolism, I will never say your metabolism is broken. That's not a thing. Your metabolism doesn't break. But there are things that you can do consistently that alter the way that your body works physiologically, and it alters how fast or slow your metabolism burns calories. So I get a lot of women who we have to reverse diet and work on building that metabolism back up, and I only can work with women who trust that process, because it's going to be longer. It's going to be 3 months to a year depending on where you're at in your journey. But it's really important to understand how your body works, what is going on the inside, and then once you figure all that out and you put those pieces together, your body runs flawlessly, and you'll be able to pick up on these little signs that will tell you, okay, I maybe need to drink more water, or I need to eat more protein, or you'll be able to now know your body so well that even without a coach, you'll be able to shift what you're doing to be able to manage life, manage your body and life.
So what were the quote-unquote mistakes that you made? Because you were always an athlete, so I feel like you were always in really good shape, and you were always probably coached to be in the right shape, doing the right routines. But I also suspect that maybe SARMs, maybe steroids were accessible, you could say, in all of these.
Yeah, it's really easy to go on Google and search where to buy these things, right? Once I was done with playing softball, I was like, well, I need to compete. I still need to compete. So I really want to do bikini competitions. And the coach that I worked for was like, well, you're going to have to start dosing Anavar, which is an anabolic steroid. And when you get down to a certain level of body fat as a woman, it's really horrible for your hormones. You can sterilize your body. It's really not a healthy place to be. That doesn't happen often, but you see it a lot with women who are competing, and then also CrossFitters too. They get down to such a low body percentage and have such a high muscle mass that their hormones are thrown off, and it throws off how we function as a female. You lose having your period, your hair falls out, your skin breaks out, it's this mess. So yeah, of course, as a competitor, you're tempted. You're like, okay, well, if I want to win and everyone else is on Anavar, maybe I'll dabble in it. I've never taken it, but it was a really pivotal moment for me. I was like, okay, if I compete, I'm gonna be all in. I'm 100 or nothing, and if everybody else is doing it, I'm gonna do it. But I decided not to compete because I knew that it was gonna end up poorly for me.
Yeah, because it's tough, because like that will give them the advantage, if
Always.
they're working just as hard, right? And it's frustrating if they are getting the better results, but they're also cheating.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really fucked up industry. The fitness, not all of it. There are pockets of it and people that I do trust, but most of it is just bullshit.
Are you Arizona born and bred?
Born and bred.
Really?
Yes.
What town?
Scottsdale, actually, before it was Scottsdale.
Before it was the prim and proper Scottsdale, right?
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm from Phoenix.
That's what I say. They're like, what are your crossroads? I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, I forgot.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you what my crossroads were. I'm like, look, here's my address on Google Maps.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. It's changed so much. I grew up a horse girl. My mom's a big horse girl. So my parents still have the same house that I grew up in. It looks totally different. They remodeled it and done all this shit to it now, but they have horses in the pocket of Scottsdale, and now all these people are buying up the land around it, and they're building these McMansions. So my parents still have this little ranch home and like horses and goats and chickens in the back and this big garden, and my mom's ready to get out, but it's morphed so much here.
Oh my, I couldn't even imagine.
I mean, you said you were here for 7 years?
7 years.
7, 8 years?
Yeah.
I mean, even in that alone, the dynamic is completely different. The population is different. The type of people here are totally
It's a
different.
hot spot. It's like Scottsdale, Nashville, Austin, Texas. 3 obscure cities in the country that are now hot spots.
Yeah.
It's like I was telling everybody here, I've been here for 7 years. This is like the 8th time total I think I've been in Old Town Scottsdale.
Good for you.
I just don't come out.
I love hearing that.
Some people are like, good for you. Other people are like, what? What are you talking about?
Oh my
right?
gosh. They're probably not from here. If they're like, what are you talking about? Why don't you come here more often? They're not from here. Mm-hmm. The people that are born and raised here are like, Old Town? Really? I mean, believe me, I have my fair share of parties.
I'm sure.
But
Yeah,
everyone does, I think. But we have this inside joke with my girlfriends. If a man moves here in Scottsdale, you got to give him like a year or two, because he's got to go through the Old Town. The vortex is either going to chew him up and spit him out, or he's gonna leave. He's gonna be like, I can't be here anymore. I can't control myself.
Yeah, that's
I gotta get out of
crazy.
here.
I couldn't even imagine being like that. Like I've been here a few times where it's like 2 a.m. and I'm like, I just want to go home. Like I can't believe my friends are still out there dancing, having a ball tonight. Where I'm just like, I have videos to edit. I want to do stuff, you know?
Do something productive. Yes.
It's different, and like girls are like coming up to me just like, hey. I'm like, I can't hear you.
That's the worst part. Like the worst part about it all is the fact that you think you're going out to be social, and you're literally going out there to sit and drink a tequila, and you can't hear anything. You can't exist there. Anyways, I just think you have to be really fucked up on drugs, whatever floats your boat, in order to enjoy that type of atmosphere.
I guess that's like if you have a night to waste. I don't know.
But it's not just a night anymore. It's the next 3 days that I have to suffer through getting back to where I want to be, and it's not worth it anymore to me.
I guess this is a nice like spring break for people who aren't from here to come in and just have a ball.
Yes, they love it. It's
like
a
Broadway
mini
on
Vegas.
Nashville or the Strip.
Yeah.
The Strip's nuts.
But this is less expensive than Vegas. It's just like Vegas. You got the bottle girls and the bottle service.
I feel like people spend thousands of dollars on bottles every night though here.
I mean, tens of thousands on high weekends. Like Memorial Day, I mean, I'm sure that the tables are probably triple of what they normally would be. It's crazy.
Do you have any absurd Scottsdale stories that you could share?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I have quite a few.
Really? Dark period of your life, huh?
Yeah. It was really fun. You know, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But also, it's just, looking back, I don't know how I did it. I have no idea. One of my girlfriends used to work in Old Town, so we would just come out and yell at her across the bar when she's in the cars, you know, with the bottle service, and we used to make fun of her. And I mean, I'm trying to think of probably my best Old Town story. I think at one of the clubs, I don't think I'm going to dive too deep in the details. At one of the clubs, they have a back room, and you're able to go in there and do all the things that you want to do. You can let your imagination run wild. And so I think that was my first taste of like the dark side of Old Town. You like open this door, and you're like, oh my God, this is a whole other like dark realm of Old Town. People doing drugs, people hooking up in the corner, and there's like a club behind you. So you have like this door frame, and then this dark room, and then this door frame behind you, and you're like, oh my God. But they'll like pay bouncers to use a bathroom, like use a private bathroom to do drugs or hook up with somebody. It's just it's just such a yucky place.
The first time I went to Casamigos one night. I was there for maybe 10 minutes picking up friends in college, and I had to use the bathroom. People doing blow, having sex as I'm just at the urinal peeing. Just trying to like speed up the process. Just like, oh my God, is this how it is every single day?
Gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's gotten progressively worse. So I used to come here with like a fake ID, right? And it wasn't, you go sit at the bar and have a beer, and they'd play like throwbacks, stuff like that. And then it would progressively get more crazy. I would say when I was in my early 20s, it was probably the prime time for Old Town. And then now, 5-6 years later, it's really trashy, it's really gnarly. A lot of times it's unsafe. Like you can't, as a woman, you don't want to be walking alone here, like going to an Uber alone. It's just getting a little sketchy.
So where are you at now then?
With partying?
No, with living, I guess.
Oh, living here.
Outside of here.
I like it. I've toyed with the idea of moving. My family's here. My whole family's here. So they really keep me tied down. I'm really close to my family, and I love having them here. I think if I were to stay and have a family here, I would want to be up north in Cave Creek. I hike a lot. I'm a big camper. So up there would be great. It's very quiet. They have Buffalo Chip. If you want like a fun bar, Buffalo Chip is up there.
So
have you been?
I trained at Buffalo Chip riding bulls because I think it was the Roadrunner Rodeo.
You trained there?
Because I wanted to ride a bull the first time I ever went to a rodeo. So I'm like, where do I go? They're like, Buffalo Chip, I think was the name of the place.
You're lying.
So I went, had like 1 or 2 classes, rode a bull at Roadrunner, got flicked within like 3 seconds. I knew it was going to be a bad experience. I'm like, I got to ride a bull. I got to do this. It's like that 3 seconds, all eyes are on you. You're riding this just unbelievable wild animal.
Good for you.
As long as you land safely and then look to see where the bull is.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that'll fly off, and then the bull's just going wild. They don't know, they'll kick you in the face and people get hurt.
Oh yeah. I mean, people get very injured, especially in like the NFR, like bigger rodeos and things like that. Oh yeah, it's super dangerous. Good for you. I would never get on a bull, ever.
No, it's got to be a bucket list thing for you.
No.
It'd be a fun story.
I don't need any more head trauma.
That's fair. You have concussions. I forgot. I still don't have. I've never experienced a concussion before. That was probably the closest.
Yeah, it's not fun.
So when it comes to Tequila Talks, do you have any like specific goals in mind for the show? Because I know just starting my show, I always had like dream interviews and people I wanted to talk to, what I wanted to do stuff like this where it's interactive.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any like goals in mind?
That's a great question. I really just wanted to get off the ground. We just launched it in, I guess it would have been March. So super, super early. I really just wanted it to be organic. I want people to listen to the podcast and feel like they're sitting on the couch with us. That's really right now just my goal with that, and then expanding from there. I have some really cool guests recorded that I'm really excited to release, and it's not so much business, but it's about the mindset and the self-worth that it takes and the confidence and the courage that it takes to getting things off the ground and getting started. And so I'm really excited about that. I want to inspire people because I think every time I talk to someone new who's just starting getting in the coaching or fitness space, they're like, well, I don't know if that it's so saturated and I don't know if I can do it. And there's a lot of fear around doing your own thing. And I really want to inspire people because it's the most fulfilling thing. I mean, it's the most fulfilling and purpose-driven act you can do in life, and if you're not doing something you love, what are we doing?
You're just wasting your time. You end up like a woo girl, like here in Old Town Scottsdale. That's what they are. They're woo girls.
They're woo girls.
Interrupting my audio.
No.
But where can the people find you on social media and all that jazz?
Yes. So my Instagram is Sam Davis Official, and then I have my fitness brand is Powerfully Fit. And then Tequila Talks with Sam Davis on Spotify. And then I'm also on TikTok with Powerfully Fit Training. So we're kind of hitting all the avenues here.
That's right, fitness, business, podcaster. Yes. Sam Davis, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is episode 705 of the podcast, guys. It's getting rowdy at the Hot Chick, so I'm going to wrap this thing up and get something to eat. But remember to head to our website, osnap.com/Jack O'Hara for your free supplements today for OSNAP. Yeah, check it out, guys. That's it. I don't have a good sign-off. So
That's okay.
That's it.
That was good.
700 episodes in, I haven't figured out the sign-off yet.